Welcome to the final Cooking for the Holidays demonstration of the weekend. We're kicking off something really good here. You're going to go home. You're going to want to make it right away. You're not going to want to wait. I promise you this. Before I introduce our next presenter, I would love to give a warm thank you and appreciation, Care Bear Stare, to our sponsors for the weekend, which include Renewal, Remodel, and Additions, who provided the kitchen you see here. It's a good-looking kitchen this weekend, I got to tell you. And Bates Technical College, who's just capturing everything all weekend. Let's give it up for them. They've been getting all the really good sweet shots. So when we are looking for close-ups and we want to get a better bird's eye view of things, it's going to come up on the screen over here. So keep an eye out for that. And finally, a warm welcome to Aura Mae, our kitchen beautician. I love the energy, guys.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm well. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you guys?
Everyone?
Yeah, we
Excellent.
feel good.
I don't hear myself in the speaker, so I can't tell that you can hear me. So
We
that's
can
awesome.
hear
Okay.
you. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing today.
So everybody has something that they do with their leftover turkey after Thanksgiving, right? So what do you guys do? Who makes sandwiches?
We got
Okay.
Sammy's, yeah.
Who makes turkey soup?
We got some soups.
Anyone do turkey tetrazzini? That was
Oh,
very
a couple
popular when I was
hands.
young. How about an Asian stir fry?
Oh.
I should have done that.
Next
Next year. Okay. So, what makes chili is you can make it out of anything, right? As long as you have chili powder and cumin and garlic, you can make chili. So we're going to take our leftovers from Thanksgiving and we're going to turn it into chili. Because why? Because we're tired of the turkey sandwiches and the turkey soup and the turkey tetrazzini and we want something different.
Yes, please.
Okay, so at Costco right now, they are selling whole smoked turkeys.
Oh.
So
Hot tip.
I already took it off and chopped it all up because I'm not going to stand here and take it all off the bone in front of you because we only got 45 minutes.
We got 45 minutes.
So,
we don't have time for all that.
This is going to come together so fast that it will help you understand how building meals from leftovers is a really fast way to make something new out of something you've already got. I grew up in a house where there wasn't a lot of extra. So being frugal and using up what you had was really important because there just wasn't a lot of money to go buy new things. So never want to let something go to waste. So I'm going to get started and we'll talk while we go here, but I'm going to add some avocado oil to this pot. You can use whatever oil you have on hand. I like avocado oil because it doesn't have a whole lot of strong flavor and it can take some high heat. So I'm going to get all of the aromatics sauteing so that they can go, and then we'll just build this all lickety-split. My big tip is that I like to use the box grater instead of chopping up the vegetables that I'm going to put in any kind of soup or sauce because it just goes faster and they're going to be, the flavors are getting melded in together. You don't need them to have the toothsome feel of something that is chopped. And also you don't have to worry that your knife skills aren't good enough to make everything the same size so that they cook evenly. So if I've grated it, it's super small. It's going to cook really quickly and really easily. And I'm going to get all of that juice out of these onions in that pot as well. And that's going to give me a lot of flavor in my dish.
I love that tip. Taking that one home.
Boom, boom, boom. Now, you do have to be careful because I will tell you, in my history in the kitchen, I have cut myself far worse on a box grater than I ever have with a knife. This is not a time to look away and see what else is going on. Pay attention. Be where your feet are.
Now, if anyone has questions throughout the presentation, please feel welcome to raise your hand. I will come to you with the mic so that Aura can hear you. Look how fast that is. You just bust that out.
Bam. Then it's, I use sweet onions just because that's what I keep in the house. I wouldn't want to use a red onion in this recipe just because I think the the color would be distracting. So I just use sweet onions because that's what I buy, and I buy them in bulk, and they're in the drawer, and that's what we're going to use. And then with the bell pepper, I just kind of peel out the worst of it. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be pretty, because why? Because I'm going to grate it.
It's going in the chili.
It's all going in. Boom, 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 boom. You can do this with celery and carrots. All kinds of things can get grated. Anything that you want the flavor of more than the texture of. And at home, I'm, slower and more thorough and more cautious. I'm going to minimize my risk. I'm not going to work on getting all of the edges there. Then you might see sitting up here on the table something that you don't expect to see, and that's a couple of Granny Smith apples. But when you think about what is a bell pepper, right, it's a sweet, wet produce. Well, Granny Smith is too, and it gives it a nice little unexpected flavor that you might not have had before. And when you're building any kind of something from leftovers, you just don't get far away from what are the flavors that I know go well together already, right? So every soup, every sauce, every something starts with a foundation, whether it's onions, carrots, and celery, or onions and bell pepper. Every flavor profile starts with these aromatics.
Now, Aura Mae, you're one of the few presenters over the weekend who is not a chef.
Yeah, I know, but yet you let me come back.
Well, I mean, you never disappoint. You make some of the most delicious things I've had the opportunity to eat.
Well, thank you.
But tell us a little bit about what you do and what brings you to cooking.
Well, so in my day job, I'm a hairdresser. I'm a hair colorist here in Tacoma, just in the Harmon building right up the road on Pacific there. And I've been doing that for 3 decades. And I started focusing on cooking when I realized that the way we were eating was not conducive to our health. So the boxes and the packages and the prepared this, that, and the other were not helping my family live a healthful life. And when we were faced with some health challenges, I decided to learn how to cook from, ingredients instead of from boxes. So what I found was that a lot of people were trying to eat healthier and do better, but they felt like maybe they were in over their heads and they didn't know how to do those things. So if a hairdresser can do it, anyone can. You don't have to be a chef to whip up something delicious.
Amen. We're already getting aromas out here, like instantaneous.
Right?
Just you grating them.
Right? And then the oil was hot. And we're going to talk a little bit about oil and why we want that, because, some of us grew up in the era of low-fat everything, where we were told that, oils and fats were the enemy and we needed to avoid them. But a lot of the flavors, especially in chili, are fat-soluble compounds. So you're never going to get all of the flavor out of that chili powder unless you bloom it in some fat.
So it's all about moderation.
Now, did I put a gallon of oil in? No, just enough to get things started and get it going. I'm going to have a lot of moisture. You can see from all of this produce that I'm grating up here. When we poured it in, you heard it sizzle, right? So we don't need the fat for that, for moisture. We just need it to make everything tasty. Okay, so now let's turn that heat up a little bit, get those moving. And then I will take a look and see what's next on our recipe. Because, I don't actually use recipes at home. I just throw shit in the pot. All right. Add oil to the soup pot and heat to medium. Cook onions and peppers until soft. Add salt. Smash roasted garlic and add to pot. So I started buying the peeled garlic in bulk but I can't use it all before it goes bad.
Yeah.
But it freezes like a dream. So you just put it on a cookie sheet, freeze the whole thing, and then keep it in a Ziploc bag. Then you can pull out some fresh peeled garlic anytime you need it. And I popped this in my air fryer for a few minutes until it got roasted and soft and started giving off all its juices.
Love it.
Bam, bam, bam.
Coming in with all the hot tips today.
Right? Work smart, not hard. Okay, maybe high is too high. Let's
bump it down a notch.
bump it down a little. All right. Stir, stir, stir. In the oven, I have something going. Let's check and see how it's doing.
What's in the oven?
Well, in the oven are little nuggets of leftover cornbread dressing that are going to be the croutons on our chili.
Oh, hello.
So, first of all, cornbread and chili, right? Match made in heaven. We all know that. Nothing new. Has anyone made cornbread dressing at home before? Okay.
Couple hands.
It has a tendency to be thought of as a southern Thanksgiving dish, but I like the sweetness of it. I think it's fun to do as something different. The two stuffings that I make most often are either cornbread or sourdough, and they're very different, right? So cornbread is going to kind of fall apart a little more. It's more crumbly. It's when you add the liquid, it gets kind of pasty. So it's more like it's a whole new thing. Whereas the sourdough, you get those crunchy bits, and the bread really soaks up the liquid in a different way and kind of stays together. So some people use them both and combine them together so that the crumbliness of the cornbread kind of makes a glue to hold that stuffing together a little more. Okay, so these are getting soft. Let's start adding some good smelly stuff. Who wants to hear the history of chili powder?
Come on, give it to us.
All right, so chili powder was invented in the late 1800s in Texas by a German immigrant named Gebhardt, and he fashioned it after the way they made paprika in the old country. So traditionally in Texas, chili con carne was a summer dish because that's when the chili peppers were in season. And you could dry the chilies and use them in the winter, but it was a lot of work to dry them and grind them. So now we don't have to. Boop, boop, boop. This is Gebhardt's original chili powder. This is the founding beginning.
Love it.
You can buy that at your favorite online reseller if your local store doesn't stock it.
Now, we eyeballed that, but if we were
I
a
know.
recipe person, how much should we put in
I
there?
believe the instructions say 2 tablespoons of chili powder.
Love it. Fun fact, not one chef has used a recipe all weekend.
Well, the glory of soup, and chili is just soup, right, is you can put all the things. And you taste it as you go along. You're like, oh, more this, more that, more this, more that. When I decide to make a recipe for the first time, say I'm going to make stroganoff, I go online, I grab my cookbooks, I take a peek. What makes it stroganoff? What does it have to be that? Now, I can adapt that into the way my family likes things, right? I'm the only one in my house who likes mushrooms. So if I make stroganoff, it doesn't have mushrooms unless I have some on the side and I just sprinkle them on my dish. But if you get the concept going of what makes a dish, then you can adapt it to what you have in the fridge, what you need to use up, what you don't want to go to waste, or what your picky family likes.
I love it.
How's it smelling?
Oh, it's smelling good. You guys getting some smells?
Okay. Now, cumin, we need less cumin than chili powder, usually about 2 to 1. I brought measuring spoons. I suppose I could use them.
No pressure.
It's a thing
you
people
don't have
do.
to.
It's a thing. Cumin gives it kind of a dusty flavor to it. Keeps it from being too bright, kind of earthy, anchors it down a little bit. I also brought some chipotle chili powder in case we decide we want a little extra. When I have a new kitchen. I didn't choose to have a new kitchen. I had a kitchen flood.
Oh.
And then I had a new kitchen. And so as we were putting it all together, I really thought through how I could make things more efficient, because I'd never had a kitchen that I chose. I always just moved into a house and you have what you have and you make do. So I have a drawer next to the stove that is shallow and holds all of the herbs and spices flat. And I can pull it out and I can see them all, and it's so much easier than having them in an upper cabinet. You've got to have a lazy Susan to spin it around and see what's behind, and something always falls. And where's my damn coriander?
Well, I'm happy for you then.
Yes, it was a rough go, and it happened during COVID lockdown. So, things took longer and were more expensive then. It wasn't fun living with a refrigerator in my living room for 9 months or doing dishes on my knees in the bathtub in buckets. Also not fun. So I will never willingly choose to remodel a kitchen again.
This is it. Your new kitchen is the kitchen.
Is it. And when I look at houses for sale, as one does, for fun, I immediately rule them all out because their kitchen is inadequate.
That's fair.
Nope, I don't even want this $1 million house. Pshaw.
They don't have my kitchen, though. Where am I going to put my spices?
Where will I put all of my many, many pots? Okay, garlic. Now, canned, jarred green chilies. Anybody use this as part of their repertoire? This is a great thing to keep around the house. It makes everything yummy. You may have heard of Hatch, New Mexico, where the green chilies are grown and roasted, and they have a festival, and it's a big deal. You can smell it for miles away. But I got these at my big, large retailer over on 38th Street there.
Do you have any guesses on who that is? Ooh,
here's my other
fresh
trick.
jar.
Fresh jar. I put a rubber band on the edge of the jar because I don't have the grip I used to have, and sometimes these are hard, so just put the rubber band on. It gives you something to stick to, and then you can twist it off.
Love it.
So we're going to use about a cup of this green chili, and it's not spicy like jalapenos are spicy, but it's flavorful in a chili sort of way. It says bold, flavorful, and authentic right here on the jar.
Love it. The jar doesn't tell any lies, guys.
Of course not. Why would the marketers lie to me?
Never.
Never, ever, ever, ever. All right, so now we've got our green chilies in, and then we're going to add the turkey stock. And you don't always see this year-round. Sometimes it's a seasonal product, but I found that Stadium Thriftway has it almost all the time. So if you're ever on the hunt for turkey stock, and you didn't have time to make it yourself. Now, I will say, that whole smoked turkey that I took apart, the bones are in the freezer so that I can make some stock, and it's going to be really, really good.
Love it. Now, if someone wanted to do this in a crock pot,
sure,
they could.
Because you only need it to get hot, right? Because everything's cooked that's going in except these vegetables, and they're cooked pretty quickly. So you could certainly do the saute part and then throw it all in the crock pot and go all day, or you could put it on the back burner of your stove and let it simmer for hours, or you could do it in your Dutch oven in a closed oven as well. So there's a lot of ways that you can do chili. Crock pots tend to be pretty friendly for most cooks. And on the day after Thanksgiving, you're kind of lazy. You don't want to be working hard.
Want to cook? Throw it in there. Be done.
We'll eat when we eat.
Yeah.
Hungry? Go grab a spoon. Okay, so I'm going to walk around the corner here because that's where my power is.
It is just to the right.
Just over here.
Of the beautiful kitchen. We'll pretend like there's a beautiful matching... And you're just hitting that with a little immersion blender.
So I just want everything to kind of be mashed up together so that every bite gets some of the flavor. So that garlic is cooked and soft. The vegetables that we started sauteing have started to soften. They were already grated, so they weren't big hunks and chunks in the first place. So they smush up pretty good. Now, if the reason your family is a picky eater residence, sometimes it's a texture thing. Sometimes they don't like ingredients because of how they feel. So if you grate them and then you pulverize them with the immersion blender, that texture issue is off the table and now it's just the flavor.
I have a family member who doesn't like pumpkin pie because of the texture, and it just makes me sad because I love pumpkin pie.
Would they eat pumpkin souffle?
Maybe.
If it were lighter and
They
airier,
might,
maybe
yeah.
it's a density thing.
It's definitely, yeah, it gets them a little bit.
Now, instead of tomato sauce, making it a more traditional chili, you could throw in a can of pumpkin here.
We're getting wild. But today we're doing tomato sauce.
Today we're doing tomato sauce. You know why? I didn't need a can opener.
Easy peasy.
There are a lot of things that happen in my life because I have made the lazy choice. Two cans tomato sauce. Yeah.
We like to call that the efficient
Yes,
choice.
yes. Efficient.
I think that's a nice word.
Smart.
For it. Yeah.
Clever, even. All right. Now we stir.
That's a beautiful color, also.
Right. So the bell peppers and all of that come together. Okay. Now we're going to go high. We're going to get all those flavors mixed in together. And I like a little smoked paprika in my chili. And we have choices. Sweet or hot? What do we vote for?
Hot.
Okay.
The folks
raise
that
your hand
hot,
for
the
hot.
Louder ones. Hot?
Okay, raise your hand for sweet. Okay, all right.
I think hot it is.
It's not, this isn't habanero, right? No one's going to be tortured by this.
Where's your sense of adventure?
I like things that are spicy and tasty, but not spicy and make you cry. I like a little nose sweat from my pho, right? I want to feel that clearing out of the sinuses, but I don't need to, impress anyone with my ability to eat hot food.
No, none of that. And today's a good day, actually. You woke up this morning with a little frost on the ground. I thought,
right?
I cannot wait for Aura Mae's chili.
It's perfect. Yeah, when I was testing it in September, it didn't seem quite the same. But the family liked it anyway, so there you go. Okay, now let's get our turkey in here. And this is a mix of light and dark meat that I've just chopped up. This is just over 2 pounds. I got 2 of these bags out of that one turkey.
Nice.
I hate taking the meat off of turkey legs. Ugh. There's too many things going on there. It's too much work. So I get the big hunks off, and the rest goes in the stock pot.
I love it. None of that labor intensive. Let it lend its flavor to something else.
Right?
Oh,
and
look at it
I
come
like
together.
the flavor of the smoked turkey. If you don't have smoked turkey, Stadium Thriftway also has their own little smokehouse, so often they have smoked turkey breast or turkey legs. So if you don't feel that you want to get a whole one, or you don't have a smoker and don't want to do it yourself, and then if all you can get is unsmoked turkey, but you'd like something smoky in it, you could saute your vegetables in some bacon fat instead. because you're going to get that smoky flavor from the bacon.
Love that.
All right. And now we're on high.
Oh, we have a question.
How do you feel about liquid smoke?
I don't have a lot of experience with liquid smoke. I think it's easy to overuse, so you have to start with what seems like none and add little bits at a time. So I suppose someone who is more used to it would do a better job. Hey, you know what I forgot to do?
Uh-oh.
Salt those vegetables.
That's all right. Salt going in now. Salt it up.
That's what happens when, you're talking while you're working.
We're in a strange pretend kitchen, you know.
All of that. Okay. So theoretically, once this all comes to a boil, all of the flavors have started to do their thing, and then it can just simmer for however long, and the flavors will get enhanced. If you put it in the fridge and heat it up again another day, those flavors might be even stronger. So then you might want to dilute it down with a little stock if you find that it's a little powerful for you.
Now, today's chili is a beanless chili, yes?
Are we going to have that talk?
I'm just asking a question. Let's have the talk. Let's talk about it. You have feelings.
I have feelings because I went to high school in Texas. So beans are something that you have next to chili, not in chili. So, you want to put some beans in here, that's fine. You could maybe use less meat. If you did that, the ratio might be off a little. I would probably use black beans if I were going to use a bean with a turkey chili, just because I think the flavor balance would be better than a kidney bean.
I don't know if I ever knew that you had such feelings about beans and chili.
Well,
I just learned something new today.
And we've known each other so long. And somehow that never came up.
Somehow this conversation.
If you are in a house where you don't mind using alcohol, my favorite thing to throw into chili is some nice Texas beer. A little Hfgf. Bubble that up. That gives it a nice flavor. Okay, let's start doing our garnishes. I bet our croutons are warm enough. Let's see. Beautiful.
So speaking of Hfgf, is that what you would drink with this? What would you pair with it? Just wash it down with?
I feel like beer goes with chili. We sell wine at the salon, but I don't know that wine is really the right answer here. I have had pumpkin beers that are quite tasty that would be good with this.
I feel full festive there.
So does anyone make pumpkin soup? No, just Chris.
One head nod.
Oh, all right, there you go. I do it two different ways, depending on whether or not I'm congested.
Oh.
Because if I'm just wanting something cozy and soothing, then I use refined French flavors and a little herbe de Provence, garlic. But if I am congested, then in goes the Chinese 5-spice and the cayenne pepper. And, okay, now we're talking.
Invigorating.
Yes. Bowls?
Yes. Top shelf.
Ooh, you guys get the top shelf.
Hey, they're just paper bowls. Sorry.
So, in here I have a mixture of grated cheeses, and it's a mixture because it's leftover from this week's family dinner. We did build your own grilled cheese. And you may have learned that grated cheese melts faster than slices of cheese. So if you're going to make a grilled cheese, grated cheese is your friend. So in here we have a mixture of Havarti and cheddar and Gruyere.
Ooh, I love it.
Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of that in the bowl, and then I'm going to put a little bit of the nuggets. You know what I should do? You know what a smart person does?
Tell us.
They taste this while they're cooking it to see how it's coming and if it needs some adjusting. Why don't we?
You have approached this with such confidence, though.
How bad can it be?
You've guinea pigged the family, so this is not a brand new recipe.
Right.
How are we feeling?
Okay. So it needs to cook longer, for sure. The spices still taste a little bit undone. How are we doing on time?
Let's take a peek here. It's 35 after.
Oh,
we got time.
We got time.
Give it a couple more minutes.
We got time. It hasn't come to a boil yet. That's the other thing, right? You're used to your stove. You know how long things take, what goes on.
It's always a fun little adventure just to walk alongside and...
Oh, what surprises do we have in store?
We always get there.
So I've got some cilantro that we can sprinkle on top. And the cheese and the cornbread. Okay. Let's see, what else? I think that needs a little more salt and a little more chili powder.
Just a little. Popping it in there.
I love these little baby ball jars. Aren't they just so cute?
They're pretty cute.
Oh, you know what? Let's throw in some of the chipotle.
Ooh. Now, what are some of the other things that you would garnish this with? Today we have cilantro or cornbread dressing, croutons.
Right. So
what else are you feeling?
Mexican crema would be good. Pour a little drizzle on. Or sour cream if you want something sturdier. Limes. You know, all of those, what goes together, right? Cilantro goes with lime. We know that. There's a book called The Flavor Bible. If you want to know what flavors of things go together, it's just a good resource for you. We know that lemon and parsley go together, right? So there are things that cuisines use across the world because they go well together. So if you start with those foundations, you can start to be more creative because you know that this is going to work.
Oh, we have another question. I'm coming up.
So you talked about putting beer in and having that with, since it's in, but I know that you're knowledgeable about wine. Is there a wine that you would pair with this
If I
chili?
were going to put wine in chili, I'd probably use a German wine. Just because the German immigrants to Texas, maybe that might be a balanced thing. So like a Riesling that wasn't super, super sweet.
Okay.
Step inside my brain as I try to figure things out. I don't know. Well, let me think.
We like to put you on the spot sometimes with questions.
I see how you are. You keep me on my feet.
Wasn't my question. I didn't do it.
No. Good thing I have all these friends here. No, it's all good.
Moral support.
That's
and
what
questions.
we do, right? We work on our feet and think as we go.
100%.
That's how I operate in the salon. Same, right? We're problem solving all day long.
How is cooking like hairdressing?
Well, customizing a basic recipe for someone's unique tastes, right? So we don't have recipes of hair color because the color I use on you, I can't use on you because your hair is going to react differently than yours. If I just say, okay, everyone is getting a medium copper, and I put it on everyone in this room, it would all look different. So we have to adapt and customize and be creative and problem solve. And then, it's people at the end of the day with expectations, and you hope to meet them. You want to make food that people think is tasty.
Yes.
And you want to do hair that people think makes them feel pretty.
Yes, 100%.
Sometimes the trick is figuring out what they want if they don't have the words to tell you.
Yes.
And that's the same with food, right? So if you've got a kid who's a picky eater and they just tell you they don't like something, if you can't get to the heart of what it is they don't like, then you might have missed an opportunity. There might have been something in it that was redeemable and salvageable, but we just gave up because they just said they didn't like it, but we didn't know why.
That's fair. And I'm sure that happens a lot with hair.
Yes.
Yes.
So I had a new client come in this week who had gone somewhere else and gotten beautiful highlights, but they looked lousy on her. If you just looked at the hair, it was gorgeous, but it was exactly the same color as her skin, and she just disappeared. And she couldn't figure out why she didn't like it. And so I was able to help her understand why that was. If we have no difference between the colors of our hair and our face, it's called being washed out. And so you just kind of lose any distinctive features that you might have. So I suppose that could happen with a recipe if you over-diluted. Hey, Bubbles! Woohoo!
Bubbles! Oh, that was exciting.
I was very excited. I've been waiting.
Waiting patiently. If you guys want it to taste good, you just gotta hang out for a minute.
Right.
Are we getting some smells?
I am. Are you?
I'm getting some.
All right, let's try this now.
How we feeling?
Go. There we go.
Coming together.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about the little simmer.
That's what we needed. And then acid is a great thing to add to a recipe if you feel like it's gotten too salty or too much spices in it. The acid of, say, vinegar or lemon or any other citrus will help kind of balance that out for you. Does anyone in here have the issue with cilantro where it tastes like soap? Have you heard of such a thing?
Oh, not one hand. Wow, we got a cilantro group today. I like it. Have we heard of that?
The very first time
so sad.
I had cilantro, I was in a Mexican restaurant in El Paso, and I told the server that my fork was not rinsed properly because I could taste soap. And he brought me another one, and that didn't solve the problem. And it was then that I discovered that that's a thing. But since I have overcome that, and I no longer have that issue, and I don't know what's different, but life is better.
You know, I'm happy for you. That is a celebratory milestone.
Indeed, indeed. It's no fun to have to say, I don't like that, right? If someone is making you something, I want to be able to eat it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
So having a broad palate makes you an easier guest. So the best thing that we can do for our kids is expose them to lots of different flavors so that when they go out into the world and have lunch at somebody else's house, they aren't awkward.
That is a word for, and it makes it easier for them because then they don't go home hungry.
Right?
They think, I get to sit down and just enjoy this as the person who prepared it intended it to be enjoyed.
Okay, so let's build. How many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, we're doing a head count. There'll be a few extra.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the Bates team.
There's some people over there who look like they haven't eaten in a while.
Are hungry around here.
Young people are hungry. They just are, man. It's a thing.
It's. I got a 14-year-old, and he eats more than any human being I've ever met in my whole life.
When I was living at home and my brother was a teenager, my brother would clear out the fridge in an afternoon like a plague of locusts had come through. And my mother shopped every week for the recipes that she was going to make for each night. And then she would go to make something, and the sour cream is gone because Stephen ate it all. So she started putting Mr. Yuck stickers on things he wasn't allowed to eat in the fridge.
I might try that.
Do they still make Mr. Yuck stickers? Is that a thing?
They've got to have them somewhere.
I mean, I suppose you could just get red stickers at the office supply store. She must have just had some in the house.
I love it. So we're building our bowls. We're starting with cheese.
Yes. If I were doing it at home, I'd put the cheese on top. But I'm going to want the hot chili to melt it. And I'm also using up some time here, being efficient with my presentation.
I love it.
Okay. So you could see on the day after Thanksgiving, if you went shopping on Black Friday, and like a crazy person does, and then you came home, you could toss this all in the crock pot, and then you could just pass out and take a nap, and then dinner would be ready later.
I love it. I have a feeling, actually, because we're literally shopping for the holidays this weekend. So I don't know if a lot of us have more to do during Black Friday.
Ah, there you go.
We're planners here.
I did Black Friday one time when my kids were young for some PlayStation or some video game system that they just had to have. And I got up early and I went and I waited in line at the Lakewood Mall. That's how long ago it was. And I just, that's a whole different kind of people out there at 5 in the morning on the day after Christmas. Like, these are not people I see every day. They are hardcore. All right.
They're pretty ruthless. I'm pretty sure that people who shop on Black Friday will survive the zombie apocalypse.
I think that's probably a fair assessment.
No problem.
So I used the pizza cutter to cut these. Laid it out.
Easy peas.
That's way easier than a knife.
Yeah.
Come on. When I tell these stories, it sounds like I'm anti-knife. I'm really not. I just like all the other tools, too.
So we have the cheese, the croutons,
the
a scoop of goodness.
A little more goodness.
A little more. Is this our presentation plate here?
There you go.
Can we get a shot of that? Can we take a little?
Wait, hold on. Since I put more scoop on,
we need the pop of color.
You gotta have the pretty.
Gotta have that. Can we get a little look before folks start lining up? We're just looking at your beautiful face. There it is. Hey, let's give it up for Aura Mae and that beautiful. Pretend it's in like a nice, cozy, handmade ceramic
in a
bowl.
mug that you're gonna sit down, put your feet up.
Now we're talking. I love it. Feeling all the cozy vibes.
Have you heard of the Scandinavian concept of Hygge? Hygge. It basically means cozy, and it is my whole life. I want all the cozy. I want cozy socks. I want cozy blankets. I want cozy PJs. I will be cozy. The Pacific Northwest is a great place for me because I can wear a hooded sweatshirt all year long.
Amen. I don't know. It was like 70-something degrees the other day, which you wouldn't know it today.
Nope. The other day, it was cold. It was in the 40s, but the sun itself was so warm, I was sitting on my porch without a jacket. So whether or not the sun is actively shining on you makes a big difference in how you experience the ambient temperature. Oh, I also, when I made the cornbread, I put some of those green chilies in it.
Oh, I like that.
And I think I put some in when I made the veg for the stuffing, too. Yeah,
Okay.
Pretty sure I did.
So we're getting a little bit of those flavors all throughout.
Right? So one might consider this perhaps a New Mexico version of chili more so than a Texas version. There's a lot of that green chili vibe going on.
Look at those pretty little plates all lined up in a row. It's coming
Pretty
together.
maids all in a row.
Any other questions while we have Aura Mae here? Maybe we can find out other ways she doesn't use knives.
I will grate anything. What's that? I think there's a website that's called Will It Blend? I'll have Will It Grate.
Will it grate? That would be a great YouTube series.
There you go.
Let's give it a shot. I like each of these is just getting a little bit of everything.
Little some. Well, I don't want to take this all home, so.
Yeah, you brought it here. You've already made it a time or two now.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that you will have no problem not having to take any of it home.
Right. So I'm making this first batch kind of more full, and then I'm going to make a few more that are a little smaller for people who just want a nibble and don't want to have that much.
Just a little taste.
They were already eating lots of things here.
Yeah, in our last presentation, we had some folks go home with a whole cupcake.
Wow.
Which is a lot of cupcake for me, but they were adorable.
I know. They were so cute. Look, she saved me one.
I did.
As a turkey. My turkey soup.
Aura Mae is making Thanksgiving leftover chili. She has to have a little turkey cupcake.
Right?
Only felt right.
It's nice when your friends look out for you.
That's what we do here.
All right, so I think whoever wants a big bowl can go ahead and come on up. I also have the recipe here, and then I have these little pins. If you're a pin collector, I've got those here you can take with you too.
All right, well, if we're going to have folks come up for samples, let's give an applause and a thank you to Aura Mae. Thanks for feeding us today.
You're welcome.
And
I love feeding you.
She's going to just keep this assembly line going. So those who want a full sample, go for it. And those who don't, wait patiently. It's coming your way. Thank you, Aura Mae, for closing us out this weekend.
You're welcome.